Floyd family farm. It's about, I don't know, 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. So I got get a couple of things wired up in here. Let me flip this thing around so I can see what we got done so far. Right, this plug here is tied into the ones that are in the bedroom. We got that one, that one, and they'll terminate at this one here, so this will be the last one. The wires are hot, but there's no plug on it, so but there'll be something coming out of that. This additional plug is tied to some plug that's going outside, so it kind of goes up and over. It ties into this one, which will be the load, then this will be the hot coming from the other side over there. But this will be an outside plug. It ties into this one, and then right there will be an outside plug, and then that'll feed up to the breaker panel. I gotta redo some wiring. It looks okay for now. This is a bunch of extra I gotta go ahead and cut out and tighten that up. This plug here, and what should be a plug and a light switch over here, will be one of the three that's in the kitchen. I'll feed from that one. As you can see, it's not tied in, so I'm not working on hot stuff. This long one down here goes to the water heater. We'll actually have two lights in here that run off of 110. The rest of them will be the rest of them will be 12-volt lights. These are the 12-volt lights that I'll be using. I know they look kind of small, and they are. I don't need a lot of light in here, but they'll be right up there. Let's see, one there and one there. But there'll be four in this area here, and then there'll be four in the ceiling here in the kitchen, and then there'll be two in the bathroom, and I think 4 in the bedroom, 2 or 4 in the bedroom. So these will run off the solar portion of this with the charge controller and the inverter. Well, I won't really need much of an inverter. We're running 12 volts. That's all I have for right now. We'll continue on when I finish the outlets, or receptacles, as they say. Talk to you guys later on the Floyd Family Farm. Thanks for checking in. Hi, welcome to the Floyd Family Farm and Home Project. I told you I was going to get back with you guys about the electrical work that I've done here. We'll go over a couple of things that I use for your at-home user. Now remember, I'm not an electrician. Please read the instructions on any electrical receptacle that you're going to be installing. Make sure you secure the power to that receptacle. Have you some proper tools that's going to help you with your electrical work. Now let's go over some of those tools. First of all, you need some good old wire splicers. These bad boys have been around a few blocks for a few years, and they actually got a little wear and tear on them. But when you look at them, these numbers here tell you what gauge wire you can cut with it. Gotta hope that's clear. But if it's not, you know what I'm talking about. All right, you got 22 to 20, 16, 18, 16, 14, 14, 12, 12, 10, and 10, 8, the 8 gauge. The smaller the number, the thicker the wire. These little holes on the very top, right here, I don't know if you can see that little hole, that's actually used for bending the wire. So one side will handle 14 to 22 gauge, and this side over here, the other side, bam, 10 to 12 gauge. So you feed your little wire through it, and you give it a nice little twist. I'll show you when I'm installing one of the receptacles. Next, you're going to need some screwdrivers. Insulated handle screwdrivers. These things are insulated to keep your ass from getting electrocuted if you decide to touch both positive and negative terminals together and create a short. Keep your fingers off of here because it's metal. Keep it on the plastic, and just remember, always secure your power first. Well, to make sure that your power is actually secured once you kill the breaker, meaning turning it off, it's nice to have your good old-fashioned multimeter. These things are the bomb diggity. Usually you can test the voltage, you can test up to 10 amps, you can test DC as well as AC, alternating current. Houses use alternating current for the electricity, 120 volts. And this thing measures up to 600 volts AC. Right here is the receptacle that I'm going to be installing. This is a 20 amp receptacle. This is going to go, one of the three that's going to go into the kitchen. All right, so we have a 20 amp circuit for the kitchen. The first plug is a GFCI. That would be the plug that's closest to the breaker. that is code compliance. Make sure you read your state codes for construction on this type of stuff. Another thing I like to do whenever I'm wiring up a house, meaning my own house, because I don't really mess with other people's stuff every now and then. But anyway, is I like to label the wires hot and load. So hot is the wire that's coming from your power source. That will be your breaker. And that will be the one that feeds into the top part of your receptacle. The load is on the bottom half of the circuit. And that's where power is going to be feeding the next receptacle or light or switch. You know, if it's going directly to a switch or to a light. Let me show you what I'm talking about. As you can see, this wire says hot, and then this one here says load. This lets me know that this is coming from the previous location into this breaker as the main power wire. This one here says it's going out to the next receptacle as a feeder for that next power wire. Now on the other end of that load is hot, because remember, we're feeding forward or feeding back, however you want to look at it. So the load comes from that end, feeds into the top of this receptacle for the load, for the hot. And if I was going to add, which I'm going to be adding a switch to this location, then there would be another wire that says, well, it'll be coming out here saying load going over to the switch. I'll show you all that when I install it. Okay, code requires that your wire stick out at least 6 inches from the back of your receptacle holder. So I'm going to take this wire. This is my load side. And feed it from the back. Alright, so you have to leave at least a 1/2 inch, preferably 3/4 of an inch of sheathing over this. You gotta have your razor so you can cut this wire back. As you can see, my wire is exceptionally long. I can't find my razor, so I got this little over here. I'm gonna reach in. I'm gonna cut this. Be careful when you're cutting this. Make sure you don't fray your wiring that's in here. Cut that back. Normally, I would go ahead and cut this on the outside and then stick the wire through. But I want to give you guys an idea of what it looks like. All right. And as you can see, this is way more than 6 inches, which is fine. And I know I use my little tape measure. Get you a tape measure too. This thing here is more than 6 inches, more like 10, 12. So I'm going to come out to here from the inside of my box. I'm going to push that wire back a little bit. I'm going to go from there all the way out to here. This area right here. Because I can't find my snips, I'm going to use my pipe cutter, probably ruining it. Yeah, those fall right on off. Right? We'll get that extra paper off there later. Alright. I'm going to do the same thing with my hot wire. I'm going to go ahead and strip that wire out. Make sure we got enough in there. Alright, there we go. The excess. Bam! We got a nice little fit. We got our hot, and then we got our load over here. We'll look at these two. We'll get them side by side. We don't want any more extra just hanging out there in the box than we need. Y'all, then we get our strippers. You probably want to cut back at least 3/4 of an inch. That's what I'm finding works best for when I go to bend this. I make sure I have enough wire. Probably closer to an inch would be better. Anything extra, you can cut off. If it's too short, then you gotta strip it again, which is extra work. So I always try to separate these two, but they come into the box at a certain way. Hot is on this side, the load is on this side, it's continuing on to the other side. So we'll be good with that. A couple of little twists to cut the little plastic sheathing on it. Just comes right on off. Remember those holes I told you about? Take this joker, stick it in here. Give it a nice little curl. Might want a little bit more curl. There you go. Do the same thing to the other side. There you go. Now on your receptacles, the gold colored portion of this is almost always the hot side. The silver side is the load side. So black for hot, silver for not. All right. So what you'll do is we'll take this, got the hot, and you want to put it on there. The screw tightens up clockwise. So you want your wire, stick it on here so that whenever you go to turn it, it's not getting twisted off. This is always a tricky part. Either the gap is wide enough for you to easily slide it in there, or it's not. In this case, it's not. There we go. I'm gonna get this wire all the way around, nice inside of there. All right, see that? Then you get your tools that you should have handy, like your screwdriver. Like, where the heck did I do with it? Bam! There goes the screwdriver. Take this joker, we get it on in there. All nice and neat. Let's give me a little grief today. There we go. There you go. Now when this wire is inside of here, they got these little walls right here. If your wire is long enough, once you loop it around, you should be able to bend it enough to close it in right here. This gives you more contact with the screw and then the little base plate, for lack of better terms on this thing. We'll go over here to the neutral side. Dang old wires, boy, I tell you. This one here's a little on the short side when I cut it. So let's not play with it for an hour. Extend it back up. There we go. Let's get this joker a nice little bend. Now I got something to work with here. See, you got that little extra in there. It's easy to bend it some and squeeze them together. Let's get our screwdriver on this. Remember, your hot is going to be the top two, black and white. Your low is going to be the bottom two. So we're going to go back with this one here. We're going to do the same thing. There we go. See, that one had enough length on it. It was easy to pigtail it, jump on around. Got more surface contact. Same down here. That one was good length. Get these things nice and snug. That way when you go do other stuff, you don't have to worry about it. Now what we're going to do with our ground wires here is we're going to create a pigtail, right? And so what we're going to do is we're going to snip these off about right here, right? And I'm going to get some of that extra wire that I had trimmed off and use the ground from there. I got me a little piece of wire, a pigtail. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to connect this to the grounding screw right on the back of this. So we'll give this a little twist to the wrist, so to speak. Go ahead and connect this to this. All right, same thing. I'm going to wrap it around, get it all nice and tight. All right, now we can take this, and we can put all three of these together. Put a nice little lug on it. Now you can take your wires and you can tuck them in all nice and neat. Remember, the thicker these wires are, the harder it is to move this stuff inside of there. Make sure your ground wires don't come up and make contact with your other stuff. And that double fits in there. And you have one receptacle in there. Some people like to use a little drill to put these in, tighten them up. It is faster, but sometimes you want to go fast. You put this crap in and it's all jacked up. Then you wind up unscrewing it. So 6 1/2 does another. You know, once you get it in there, if you want to get your drill. All right. So I'm not going to close these all the way, just in case the unforeseen issue comes up. I don't have to sit here and unwind all this crap all over again. So once everything is completely done, and we've tested all the circuits with our multimeter. I also have like a little plug-in device you can plug in and it'll let you know if your hot and neutrals are reversed. So that's always a good tool. I'll show that to you guys at another time. As for right now, I'm going to go put the rest of these in. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave some comments at the bottom. And thanks guys for checking out the Floyd Family Farm and Home Project.